Hello and welcome to the Real Estate Macro Podcast. I'm your host, Douglas Dow. Joining me today is my good friend Jared, and it's Ash, correct? All right, Jared, welcome to the call today. Jared, you are out of California, so that's an interesting part of your objectives or obstacles in terms of investing in real estate. Can you talk to us a little bit about the obstacles that's presented and how you've navigated that problem?
Yeah, so I'm out of the San Francisco Bay Area. The hardest thing is actually just with any business is the time zone change, right? Somebody was like, can we do a call on Monday at 8? And I was like, well, which time zone are you looking at? It was somebody in Eastern who said it. It was a deal in Alabama. And I was like, no, I'm not doing 5 a.m. Sorry.
Sorry, not really.
But other than that, we've got an airport, so we can get on a plane to do due diligence in any market. It's really about having the right partners locally to do the business, right?
That sure makes sense.
My other team members at Crown Capital are on the East Coast. One's out of Philly and two are out of the DC metro area.
Oh, I see. So you've got a good base of teammates to help distribute that. I got it. Jared, just to back up a little bit, how did you get interested in real estate? What brought you into the arena?
That's a great question. So I think it was two people. One, the gentleman who is the best man at my wedding is sort of like an older brother type to me. And I used to be his roommate in DC, and we used to work in government together. And he had bought a number of properties 20 years ago in DC that he fixed up, condos and apartments that he fixed up himself in marginal areas. Some were even in a dangerous area that have been in the path of progress. Progress has overtaken them. And he's made a lot of money. And then I had a cousin who is very successful in business in LA, and he bought a number of houses, and they both taught me about cash flow and having diversity to your income. And I think that's what really inspired me. I also am a consultant, which a lot of the times it has to do with how successful you can be is how many hours can you work in a week in some ways. And I wanted the diversification to my own income every month. So it was a combination of those two factors that really led to me being in real estate.
That's awesome. And once you got that inspiration from your friends, it sounds like you had a great network, by the way. That's an incredible group of folks to be surrounded. What was the first deal that transpired after you kind of went down this road?
So at first, I ended up going with a turnkey provider in Memphis in the single family space. Living in the Bay Area, I couldn't really afford to do as much here, but in Memphis for $20,000 to $25,000, I can buy a house and mortgage it at the time, and get, with interest rates being low at the time, I think I have less than 3% on two of my three houses. It's got great cash flow. And I mean, I don't get the equity gain in Memphis that you do in other markets, but I actually am paying my property taxes on my primary residence each month, which in California is high, from that cash flow that I'm getting. And so just knowing that I have that base there, it was great, but I couldn't scale. Right. And I kept saying, like, to my wife's like, well, can we redo our pool, or we're going to buy another house to earn a couple $100s a month? She was like, And so I said, okay, I got to come up with a plan. How do I scale to get to a cash flow number that we had as a goal? And it led me into the multifamily space, which I took about 18 months to study, and started attending meetups and doing things before I ever dove in, and then just closed my third deal.
Oh, that's awesome. So you took a period of time. Did you do any of the coaching programs, or did you like, no, I'm just going to learn from other people?
I didn't do a formal coaching program, and I started before COVID, but there's enough podcasts in the space. And then with COVID, all these conferences went online, all these meetups go online. And so there's so many people you could talk to and learn from and listen to. I just didn't believe I needed that formal coaching thing. And by the way, I'm an Ironman triathlete.
Oh yeah,
I've done the Ironman. I do it in groups of people.
yeah.
So I don't go out and bike 100 miles by myself, but I sort of trained myself, and that was just sort of the way, right? There's people you can talk to, network with, learn from, books to read, but I like to be able to do my own thing a little bit.
It sounds like the mindset piece is something you definitely work with in terms of being an Ironman triathlete. It seems like that translates pretty nicely over to the investing side.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. My wife was talking to me last night. She's like, you spend like every day you're doing a mindset podcast, a mindset set of affirmations. You're following the lead of all that stuff, going through 2 books a month on mindset. And I think that's so important to be successful in life, that to get there.
I completely agree. It really is the distinguishing factor that I found. I mean, really, you can boil almost all of it down, and it's actually not that difficult when you think about real estate investing. It's just the difference between mindsets that are the people that actually break through the resistance. And there are different ways of doing it, but what it all boils down to that I found is just everyone who broke through had the right mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much, right?
And
When you got that
it takes
first,
a lot of work. Like, I don't, just to add there, I don't think I ever believed I could be a multi-million-dollar real estate investor and own a couple hundred units, hopefully soon a couple thousand units. That just never, like, I was never brought up that way. And so
mm-hmm.
I've really had to train my brain, train my will to do it. And yeah, when you're doing an Ironman and you are just tired, and there's some days where it's raining or it's cold and you want to go do anything else, it's perseverance and persistence. And I had to train myself physically and mentally to be able to do that.
And so when you were ready to get into this, your first scaling up, what was the thought process like, and how did you pick your market?
I would say part of it's been opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
right? We are in Houston, Texas, uh, Lubbock, Texas, Louisville, Kentucky, and soon in a market in Alabama. We I think for a while, when I said took 18 months to learn about this, I was picking markets. I wanted to be in Reno. I wanted to be in Colorado Springs or something like that. It That wasn't really working for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was, hey, do those numbers actually work in that market for the returns I want for the investors? Is this a good, is the underwriting realistic in that market? Do I have the right partners and team? And my first full deal was this deal in Houston, and that came to me from a mentor of mine in the space, Julie Peterson from Old
Mm-hmm.
Capital Lending.
Oh,
She
sure,
was not only the lender on the deal, but she's one of the KPs on the deal,
that's
and
great.
she brought me in to make progress on it. So and within that, I do the research on the market. I got to make sure I like it. I've turned down markets that I don't like, but yeah.
And having that experienced mentor is another great way of kind of circumventing the coaching. The formal coaching way is actually just having a great JV partner that knows the ropes and significantly lowers the unknown threshold. That the fear of the unknown it's a healthy fear. A lot of times it's like, I don't know what I'm doing, so I can't push through. But when you have a mentor who's like, well, I'm having this problem, and they're like, no, 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 your mindset's just wrong. You're not doing this, and it's like, aha. So it seems like that's an incredible advantage too, in terms of getting that first deal done.
Yeah, and I have a couple of good people in the space that I've met that have helped mentored me and are there to ask questions. Uh, and then there's enough meetups going on too that you can always throw out this question to 30 people, right? You and I know each other from a meetup
Yep,
on Mondays.
that's right.
And hey, I can throw this and I can get input and then I can make my own decision. But I've had people, there was always somebody who's experienced that problem before and can help you overcome it.
Well, I can completely agree. And for those who are wondering, it's Angel Williams' Marvelous Monday Meetup. Please contact me if you want to go. It is amazing. And thank you, Angel. So anyway,
Thank you,
back
Angel.
to yeah, thank you, Angel. So moving forward, it sounds like you got some good momentum going now, and you're on your just now closing your third deal. Did I understand that right?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Today.
And that today, literally today, closing the third deal. That is epic. Congratulations. That
Thank
is
you.
such a great accomplishment. And so, Jared, where do you feel like the markets are? We're in a kind of an interesting posture right now with regarding multifamily. Where are you seeing the opportunity moving forward, and where do you think you want to continue to operate given this environment?
Yeah, well, I think there's two parts to that. I think there will be opportunity from people who have made missteps.
Mm,
Over the last 10 years, particularly even the last 3 years, you didn't have to be smart to make a lot of money in this space. You were getting places where you were underwriting 5% rent appreciation, and you were getting 10, 15% because people were moving around. With COVID, they were leaving New York and San Francisco. They were visiting other cities, even if they're coming back to the major cities. They were looking to auxiliary markets, and rents were just flying through the roof. You and people were selling deals after 2 years. I know somebody in a deal now that is in a bridge loan, and they did not have an interest rate cap, and they are getting hammered. Their interest rate, I think, went from like 4% on a bridge loan to like 8%. They are not only not able to do any of the added value repairs to that, they're going to run out of cash soon. And so I think there's going to be a lot of deals that just come up like that, where those people are either going to need to take in a big chunk of from a new partner, or they're going to have to sell in a hurry.
right.
Right now, what I see, we're looking at another deal in Louisville, and they're just asking for too much. I'm like, with the interest rate factor of roughly 7.5% of what we're underwriting on a long-term fixed, we can't cash flow that deal more than 3%. And so we're saying they got to come down like $2,000 a door
Right.
for that to cash flow at a reasonable percentage to get a return. And I think not yet, but maybe come the end of Q1 of 2023, if we see interest rates remain high for the future, those deals are going to have to start coming loose.
Yeah, it feels like the sellers are going to need to capitulate. I don't know that they're there yet either, but I agree with you. 3 months, 6 months, they're going to have to sing a different tune. I think they literally are going to have to. Jared, I could ask you about this. Can you talk about a deal that you passed on that, like, well, I don't really like it for this reason? Are there any examples where you're like, nah, that's just not something we'd want to do? I'm interested in your thinking process on that, and what keeps you away from a certain market.
Yeah, there's always every week ones that we passed on, but there's one this week, and there was a partner with us who was in a previous deal that brought it to us, and they own another building in this same market, but it's a small market in Mississippi, and it's a town that has the population declining over the last 20 years. And it's not a big town. And I don't care if it's a small town that's outside of Atlanta, right? But if this is a small town in a small county that has nothing in the next county either,
Yeah.
it was just too hard for me to justify, unless it was a very stable economy, that there was something there that was driving the force. And there really wasn't. At less than 20,000 in population, you don't have a major hospital. You don't have major banking centers, major employment centers. You have businesses that are there because you have 20,000 people that live there. I was also questioning somebody, it's on the Mississippi River. Well, the drought on the Mississippi, they've said that they're gonna have to reduce the traffic flow of boats, which is gonna have major economic impact throughout the whole country.
Wow.
But a town that is based on workers working on the Mississippi, I just started asking questions about that, and I said, you know what? I'm asking too many questions about why somebody should justify it to me. I felt like I can't sell that market to somebody else. as this is where you should invest. And that had great returns. And I think they're going to hit those returns. They had a 2.2 multiplier. That means they were saying in 5 years, you were going to more than double somebody's money from 100,000 investment to a 220,000 investment. It just wasn't the deal for Crown Capital and Jared Asch and my partners to go do at that location.
That seems like a great part of your buy discipline. It's like there are certain markets that just, might be good for someone, but just not you.
Yep.
And in terms of where you're going next, Jared, any other things that you'd like to share about your process in terms of what you're looking forward to moving forward here?
Yeah, so I'm the relationship guy. I work with investors and run a lot of our educational programs. One of my partners, Noel, he does the underwriting and the deals. And what we've been talking about looking at is, okay, we just closed deals in Lubbock and Louisville, and we like those markets because they are continuing to grow in population. They are attracting young college educated people who went to school in those markets to stay in that market and take their first jobs. Now, are people staying there for 20 years and building their family? That remains to be seen, but they're staying there for 5 or 7 years at least. And that's creating a need for more multifamily apartments. And these are people who are college educated. They want maybe not A class because they're still in their 20s, but they want at least a B class apartment. And I like those kind of dynamics. And we're looking at one in Alabama that's semi-similar to that's getting people to stay. And we probably will announce a deal in that market in the next week. We also love the Atlanta suburbs for that same reason. They're just growing markets that are attracting more college educated people to stay. We also love workforce housing though.
Yeah. And it really seems like the Sun Belt is really looking attractive for a lot of reasons, and it seems like that's right in your strike zone there. That's incredible.
Yep.
And Jared, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Is there any question that I should have asked that I didn't?
How to find me?
That's right. How do you reach out to Jared? What's the best way?
So the easiest way to find Jared Asch is I am the only Jared Asch on LinkedIn, JaredAschh. You could find me on LinkedIn. I am on there all day long. It is my preferred social media for connecting with people in business. And then our company is crowncapitalcorp.com. crowncapitalcorp.com, and we have monthly and soon to be weekly educational sessions and meetups that we're hosting. So please come out, learn more about what we're doing.
That's incredible. And Jared, thank you so much for joining us today. I really enjoyed hearing about your process and how you overcome mindset and taking the Ironman triathlon challenge and applying it to multifamily. That's incredible stuff. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's
Thanks,
good to see you.
Appreciate it.
You bet.